it is important for us to understand that, again, a month ago or so, I spoke on KBBF bilingual radio about Biden, Joe Biden, President of the United States. I made a video of it. I uploaded. Some people got mad. That's perfectly fine. But we must speak truth to power, right? That's the saying. We must speak the truth. Joe Biden ran for president of the United States as an individual who was going to make a lot of positive changes. At this moment, I'm actually asking a local artist to create for me a little cartoon that is going to be, and hopefully it'll be a sticker, and hopefully we'll print a bunch of them and keep sharing them all around the world. And if not, it'll just be a little, cartoon that we can keep sharing everywhere anyway online. And he's going to say, Biden, more of the same. And that's going to be sponsored by Líderes del Futuro. Why? Because Biden is not a progressive. I personally think the word progressive is misleading. It was invented by somebody who just wanted to show off. Because progressive doesn't mean much when there's so much progress to be made, where there is so much inequity. Joe Biden is a centrist, as I have explained previously on this show. Joe Biden is the guy that you want to work with because he's never going to challenge your way of thinking. He's never going to challenge, even if you're taking advantage of other people, he's not going to challenge it. He just wants to be your friend. And then out of that, he just wants to get a little bit, but not a lot. When he came into the, and I spoke about this last time, when he ran for president, he won the Democratic side of, again, he got the right support. And Bernie Sanders, for the second time, the candidacy to president of the United States was stolen from him. But again, Biden is a centrist. Bernie is about 2 steps to the left. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is also about 2 steps to the left, maybe 2.5 steps. And then the left wing, as people like to say, or the extreme left, as other people like to say, it's about 10 miles to the left. That's what socialism really looks like. And so that's why the Republican Party and some of the members of the Republican Party don't mind working with Biden much, because he's never going to challenge and create equitable access to resources. And an example of this is Joe Biden went into the White House, made a speech like a day later and said, we are going to stop deportations. Well, they haven't stopped. In fact, they're happening now. 2, he said, we are going to allow the people who've been waiting at the US-Mexican border, who have been asking for asylum and their name went on a notebook, but they were told to wait in Mexico. We're going to allow them to come to the United States and ask for that here, as the law requires. And now, and then he said he was going to eliminate these concentration camps where children were being kept. He didn't use the word concentration camp because, again, that's not what a centrist does. He just said we're going to get rid of those spaces where children are being kept. And we just learned from the Washington Post a couple of days ago that, again, they just reopened one of the concentration camps where they're going to put thousands of children while they try to find ways to reunify them with family members living in the United States. But again, this is what is happening. The opposite of what he said was going to happen. Now, the members of the Democratic Party heard about this, and you didn't hear a single person say anything, including Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She didn't say anything until she got a lot of pressure from members of the community that she represents, but in general, members of the country. And she finally put a statement out on Twitter that says, this is not okay, never has been okay, never will be okay, no matter what the administration is or the party running the country. But again, why did they wait so long? And why, in fact, didn't they meet with the president ahead of time and say, Joe, this is actually a bad idea, and it goes against what you said you were not going to do? And again, this is what the issue is. The issue is that things are not changing. It's more of the same. Hence, the sticker I'm hoping will come out soon, that is going to be Biden, more of the same. Because nothing is changing. And nothing is going to change. In regards to immigration, families get so, they buy into this idea that they promise us legal status after so many years of being here, so on and so forth, that when the two individuals in the Senate and in the House of Representatives introduce legislation to be able to provide undocumented immigrants with the opportunity to get papers, about 11 million people, people started calling, people started texting, sending messages on Facebook, Instagram, and everywhere. When do we start applying now that we have a law to become citizens? Well, you don't start because there's no such law. But again, people are so willing to believe that they are not even willing to wait to find out what's going on. It's called desperation, and I understand it. But this is the level of manipulation that we are dealing with. What was introduced in regards to immigration reform is not immigration reform. They're basically going to put everybody on probation, or even worse, it's more like some form. Yeah, I guess we'll stay with probation. What they're going to do is they are proposing that people will get work permits and they'll be on probation for 5 years. And then if they behave, then they'll get the opportunity to apply for, again, residency, and someday in the future become citizens. It's about creating as many roadblocks as possible, even for people who have been here for 30 and 40 years and have never gotten a driving ticket. If they are elderly and they dedicated all their lives to working in the fields or working in restaurants or whatever, they pay their taxes, they contributed to society, they still will not be able to qualify for Medicare for at least 5 years. If they are too poor, we're going to keep them in poverty because they are not going to be able to apply for food stamps for at least 5 years. Again, I'm calling it probation, but I think some of you are going to understand the word that I'm thinking of, and it's worse than probation. Worse than that is that they're giving people hope, but negotiation has not even started, which means they only have about 6 to 8 more months before the next campaign begins for the House of Representatives members that are going to be reelected or not in a year and a half or so. And as a result of that, whatever they're going to do, they're going to have to do it this year. And they only have a few months left before they have to, those individuals have to go out in the campaign trail to get reelected. The campaign of Joe Biden just today was asking people for donations of $20 here and $20 there. And who are they asking for money? From those same poor people who are the children of undocumented immigrants. They are citizens. It's perfectly legal to donate. But again, right, if we promise you papers, maybe we can extract from you more money. One of my students sent me a copy of that text message. Hey, this is Joe. We need to continue the work. Can you donate $20 today? Right? Should be illegal to do that type of behavior, but it's happening. I truly believe that by the end of this whole process, most likely the only people that are going to get legal status are going to be people with DACA, people with TPS, temporary protective status, many of them victims of the Civil War of El Salvador, of which the United States is responsible for. And again, maybe people who have the worker visas who work in the fields. And I'm thinking they're going to limit it to that because those people have already gone through some type of background check. The DACA individuals already went through fingerprinting, so did the TPS, and so on and so forth. And so I'm thinking those are the ones that might end up getting something serious. I think that, politicians are politicians, and many of them lie for a living. And as a result of that, they may come back and say, look, we tried, we negotiated, we'll continue to try, but we need to get reelected, therefore give us more money so that we can get reelected, and maybe we'll keep trying, and maybe in a couple of years or 4 more years, and then we can get it done. That's what I would expect, in all honesty. If we get more than that, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of limitations for those individuals. Remember, for people who, in California, for example, it's perfectly legal to smoke marijuana, except if you're undocumented. You cannot be in possession of it. You cannot have a conviction of it. If you do, then automatically you are prevented from gaining legal status. There's so much of this that our community doesn't know or understand. The most common crimes for which can prevent you from gaining legal status and can get you deported are marijuana possession, arrest, conviction of marijuana possession or marijuana for sale. The other one is domestic violence. Any accusation or conviction of gang affiliation, child abuse, sexual crimes. And again, it's important to understand that even if you just got a medical marijuana card because you had to submit your thumbprint in many cases, that information can be made available to immigration. And to finalize this segment, I just want to remind you, if you happen to be undocumented, do not be posting information about yourself on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or anywhere else. If immigration is looking for you, then they are going to use that information to locate you. Remember, nowadays, they even have contracts where if you're driving and they already know your license plate, they can put request, and there's a company that has access to the cameras, sometimes at crosswalks, sometimes the meter people who are driving those little cars with a bunch of cameras. That information is being provided at the moment to the service that then can tell immigration where your car is parked. Please be safe out there. Take care of each other.